What's going on, everybody? This is Jay. Welcome back to episode 2 of my podcast. I'm very excited about this whole thing going on right now. It's another great thing I get to do in my spare time. I checked out the first episode, and I gotta say, the audio was great on it. I could hear myself very clearly. It sounded, pretty professional. I could do better with like the whole setup here. I mean, I look like I'm literally in an asylum. I could certainly do better with, making this look more like it's in 4K. But what we got going on right now, it's pretty good. I'll upgrade it over time. Um, this is taking place currently on the 25th. So I won't be able to upload this until tomorrow because I have a lot going on right now. I just totally effed up a math exam, and I was totally horrified by the score that I got yesterday. It was quite bad, so I need to fix that, work on that. I really need to get my grade up in that class. I got to work on other classes too because college ain't easy, man. You got to do a lot of studying and not just completing the work and, getting like studying for tests, but you just need to study in general. You need to keep up with the actual because you never know because there's so much that you cover so much. I mean, you got midterms going on. You need to remember stuff from weeks ago. When you do finals, you need to remember stuff from months ago. It's pretty crazy. So other than that, there's no really hard news for today. Like there's no hard news story. I mean, there really hasn't been. And when I hold on, let me rephrase this. There's it's not so much like stories about like, breaking news, not breaking news, like more like, oh, like this is big, like, oh, this happened. I tend to do these podcasts just because I like to talk about things that might be trending. Not that they're a big deal, but I think they're pretty funny or they're annoying or whatever the hell they are. So yeah, not much news, just a few things I'd like to share on today's podcast. I watched the Monday Night Football game yesterday. It was New England versus Chicago. Obviously, being from Massachusetts, I'm a Patriots fan, and they got their asses whooped. They did have that big those few touchdowns within a couple minutes, but other than those few minutes where the defense and the offense played well, they got their asses whooped for the other 55, 56 minutes, however long it was, where they had that one burst of energy in the second quarter. But I watched the Manning broadcast, and they had not only did they have Bill Burr on, but they also had Obama on in the first quarter. And it's so funny because whenever I look at Obama these days, it's like, holy shit, this dude is so old. And it's funny because when you look at when you see someone every day and when you follow their presidency, I did so with Obama a little bit when I started getting into politics. I did the same thing with Trump. I've been doing it with Biden. You don't notice how much they age, but when I started with when I looked at Obama from when he started or when he was elected in 2008, when you take a look at his final day of his presidency, he aged so much, and he's aged a lot now as well. Like when you take a look at him from now to when he began his campaign, like I'm gonna pull up a few photos here. Doesn't he look like he's aged 40 years? I mean, he went from looking like a spring chicken to looking like he's at retirement age. I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, that's what the presidency does to you, though. I mean, yeah, excuse me. That's what the presidency does to you, though. I mean, you're under so much stress every single day. You can't please everybody. It's the toughest job. You have to deal with a lot of shit from everybody, and you part of that stress, it just makes you look so old and worn down. But it's nice to see Obama. Obama's a cool guy. I don't necessarily agree with all his politics, and I didn't think he was a terrible president. I don't think he was necessarily a great president, but I mean, I could certainly live with the guy. And let's be honest, Obama's when it comes to being a Obama's definitely one of our better presidents. I mean, he's certainly one of our coolest presidents. I like Obama a lot, and it's nice to see him out of the White House just talking about football, like just regular everyday Americans like the rest of us. Yeah. In other news, there were I guess you could what do you want to call them? Activists that vandalize paintings by chucking soup at them. Soup and mashed potatoes. There were two instances. There was a few kids, part of the Oil, Just Stop Oil. I guess you call it a movement. they pretty much, in order to, I don't even know what they're fighting for. I guess it's for climate change or environmentalism, something something, and they decided that it was a good idea to prove their point by throwing, I guess, throwing soup at a painting. Like, how do they think that's going to get the job? Like, that's what I really don't understand. And there was another group of German protesters that decided it was a good idea that they throw mashed potatoes at a painting. It's like, do these people think like that folks are just suddenly going to listen to them because they're vandalizing property? Like, do they think everyone around them is just going to be like, wow, what these people are saying is so important. I better listen now. I mean, I don't care what you just did. I don't care that you just vandalized a fucking Van Gogh painting, the flowers painting. It's a great thing. Now listen, it's okay to be aware about certain causes. Like if you want to stand up for the whole oil movement or whatever the hell it was, then fine, all right? If you want to fight for that cause, then that's perfectly fine. But there's a right way to do it, and then there's a wrong way to do it. And they couldn't have gone about it the worst way. It's so funny because when I first heard about this, when I first saw it, I was not phased in the least. I was not affected by it at all. I was like just monotone, like, okay, this happened. Like if this had happened before COVID, something like this, I would have been shocked. But ever since COVID began, ever since we began the COVID era, I've been immune to basically everything insane that has happened. My entire adult life, which is only 2 years, I've been immune to all the insane that has taken place, not just in the world, but around me as well. There's been some crazy things that I've had to deal with. It's another story for a different time, but anyway, when I heard about this, like when like people say they're shocked about it, it's like, are you really shocked though? Like you had like obviously like people, this is just what they do nowadays. This is the atmosphere. So that's what happened. I really thought America had a big mental health issue, but apparently they do in Europe too. So listen, I guess my message is if you're I don't know, if you want to stand up for a cause, don't do stupid things. I guess like just don't be stupid and don't be an asshole. Like that would be my message to these people. I hope they get the mental health they need, but I mean, will they? Will they really? I hope so, but I don't know, man. It's a lot of craziness, like I've been saying. There's also, when it comes to the midterms, there's a few things. I mentioned the other day that the Dems were campaigning on the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned and that they wanted, they say, okay, if you want to kick the conservatives out, just vote against these laws. On the other hand, you had Republicans saying, oh, Joe Biden, he was, causing inflation and stuff. So kick the libs out and we can take back Congress. But there's one big issue that I think a lot of Americans find troubling, and it's the fact that it's election integrity, right? It's the fact that there are actually a shocking amount of politicians from both sides, from both parties, that literally refuse to answer the question as to whether or not they will actually concede the election that they're running for, like whether it's in the Senate, whatever the hell. And it's not just the race they're running, but it's also they won't even concede to the fact that Trump won, or hell, even that Hillary lost. I mean, that's been brought up. Like they'll say stuff like they'll literally be asked a yes or no question. All they have to say is yes or no. People ask them, it's like, will you, if you lose the selection and it's been certified, will you accept the results of the election? And then they'll steer around it. They'll be like, listen, we have such a good election system, this, and that. I hope there's not you're not answering the question. And then when it comes to, and then there's other people that are asked if Trump is if he was if he was actually elected, or no, excuse me. They'll ask, was he fairly elected? And then they'll be like, listen, Biden's in the White House right now. I mean, that's a thing, I guess. Well, I mean, listen, our election system is like they can't even. It's such an easy question. I mean, regardless of whether or not you do believe that Trump was legitimately elected or not, just be honest about it. Either say yes or no. And when it comes to, and this especially pisses me off, or not pisses me off, just it's more like I find it almost concerning. It's like politicians, the moderator will ask them, if this election is fair and free, the results are confirmed to be true, will you accept the results of the election? And the answer out of every politician's mouth should unequivocally be yes. But I don't think when they've been asked that I don't know if there's been any politician that has actually said yes yet. I mean, I'm sure some of them have. I've honestly haven't been I've only been seeing the ones that have been saying no, but even the ones that are saying no, it's like that's disturbing. Or it's not that they're saying no, they're more just steering around the question. I wish they would just say yes. Because if you're asked a yes or no question, you should just say yes or no. So anyway, that's my quick 2 cents for today. I hope I'm gonna be doing these pretty regularly. Hopefully, I can get my channel back up and running again. Hopefully, this looks good and sounds good, just like it did on the other one. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you later.